They say if you drive long enough through the Nevada desert, you'll see him. An old, rust-eaten pickup following you in the mirror. No headlights, no plates, just a shadow on wheels, and the moment you pull over, that's the moment nobody ever sees you again. The first disappearance on Highway I-95 was almost too ordinary to notice. A nurse named Emma Copeland left a night shift in Las Vegas and headed north toward Long Wells, a town so small it had only one open diner and a gas station that looked abandoned even when it wasn't. She texted her sister at 11:42 p.m., almost home. The timestamp would later become a haunting sort of prophecy. The desert night was cold and starless, the kind of darkness that swallowed headlights instead of reflecting them. Emma's compact sedan slid along the empty asphalt like a silver ghost. She didn't know that several miles behind her, matching her speed exactly, rolled another vehicle, a faded, grey-blue Ford F-150 from the late 1980s. No plates, one working headlight, and something hanging from the rearview mirror, swaying like a pendulum. The security camera at mile marker 221 caught only fragments. Emma pulling into the gas station, the faint outline of a man stepping out of the pickup, and then static. The footage never came back. When investigators tried to restore it, the file kept corrupting at the same second, 0:03 and 17 seconds a.m. Emma was never found. Her abandoned car was discovered 3 days later at the edge of a dry ravine, doors unlocked, keys still in the ignition. No signs of a struggle. No footprints in the sand. Just one strange detail: her driver's seat was pushed all the way back, as if someone much taller had been driving after her. Locals started whispering again about what they used to call the ghost pickup. A story as old as the highway itself, a truck that appeared only to those traveling alone at night, always following, always waiting for them to stop. No one took it seriously until the disappearances kept coming. A father of two returning from a night shift. A couple on a cross-country trip. A hitchhiker documenting desert towns on his travel blog. Every case had one thing in common: someone reported seeing an old pickup trailing behind them moments before they vanished. The sheriff dismissed it as superstition, but one detective didn't. Elias Ward, a former state trooper, had lost his own brother on the same highway 12 years earlier. The case was buried, labeled as voluntary disappearance, but Elias never believed it. Now, with new victims and the same pattern repeating, he knew this wasn't random. Someone, or something, was hunting on the open desert road, and the deeper Elias dug, the more the trail twisted toward one horrifying conclusion: the driver of the pickup wasn't passing through the desert. He lived there. And he had been doing this for decades. Detective Elias Ward stood at the edge of the ravine where Emma's car had been found. The wind carried the dry smell of sand and heated stone. It was the kind of silence that made your ears ring, a silence that felt deliberate, as if the desert itself was withholding the truth. Elias crouched beside the driver's door. The lock was intact. No shattered glass. No blood. No sign she had ever stepped out on her own. But when he touched the steering wheel, he felt something gritty. He lifted his fingers to the light of his flashlight. Dust. Metallic, not from the ravine. This was something else. Brake dust? Exhaust residue? Or the remains of an older vehicle? He bagged the sample. Behind him, Sheriff Banks approached, boots crunching on gravel. "You're digging into this again." Banks muttered, "We went through this with your brother. The desert eats people. Simple as that." Elias didn't look up. The desert doesn't push a seat back for someone a head taller than the victim. Banks sighed, exasperated. Ghost trucks, desert spirits, it's all bullshit. Don't bring this town another obsession. But Elias wasn't listening anymore. He was staring at a fresh tire mark behind Emma's car deep. Heavy. A tread pattern you don't see on modern vehicles. He knew that tread. He'd seen it once before, in the photo from the night his brother disappeared. His fingers tightened. 3 days later, long after midnight, Elias drove alone down Highway I-95 with his lights off. The moon was only a thin stripe above the mountains. The desert swallowed everything else. He kept his speed steady, 62 miles per hour, the same speed Emma had been driving moments before the pickup appeared behind her. His radio crackled with static. He didn't touch it. Didn't slow down. Then, in the mirror, a flicker. A pair of faint headlights, far behind, barely glowing. He blinked. The lights vanished. The road went pitch black again. Elias swallowed hard. Maybe fatigue was playing tricks. Maybe. The radio hissed again, and a voice, low and warped, crawled through the static. "Turn off the road." Elias froze. The headlights behind him were back. Closer now. Too close. 0.1 light bright, 0.1 light dim. An old pickup. Exactly as every witness had described. His pulse thundered in his ears. He kept the wheel straight, refusing to slow down. The voice on the radio came again, distorted, as if spoken through sand. "You're on the wrong highway." Elias. His foot slammed the brake. The radio cut to silence. The headlights behind him flickered and vanished completely. He stepped out of the car, hand on his gun, scanning the endless dark. Nothing. No engine rumble. No dust. No fading taillights. It was like the pickup had never been there, but when he turned back toward his car, his breath caught. There was something on his windshield. A single dusty handprint, pressed against the glass from the outside, large, too large, and written below. It, with a finger dragged through the dust, 3:17, the same time Emma disappeared. The same time his brother vanished. Elias's hand trembled as he touched the glass. Something was hunting on this road, something that knew his name, his past, and the exact second every victim vanished. He realized then. The pickup didn't choose its victims randomly. It followed patterns. It followed people, and now it was following him. Elias didn't sleep that morning. He sat on the edge of his motel bed, staring at the dusty handprint on his windshield through the open curtains. The sun had risen hours ago, yet the print remained, dark, oily, deliberate. Whoever placed it there wanted him to see it in daylight. By 8 a.m. he was standing at the entrance of the Longwell Sheriff's Department, holding a stack of old case files he had borrowed years ago without permission. Cases labeled missing person. Cases everyone forgot except him. He placed them on Sheriff Banks's desk. Banks didn't even look up. "You're wasting your time." Elias opened the top folder. The file of his brother, Daniel Ward. He slid a photo forward, a tire track in soft sand, partially blurred. "Look at the tread pattern," Elias said calmly. Banks exhaled loudly. "For God's sake, look at it," Elias repeated. Banks finally lifted the photo. His brows knitted. "That's old. 70s? 80s? 87, Elias said. "Ford F-150. Same model, same wheelbase, same tread." Daniel vanished in 2012. But the pickup stuck around. Banks set the photo down as if it burned him. "This doesn't prove anything." Elias pulled a second photo, the one he took last night, right before the handprint appeared. A fresh tire mark, same pattern, same alignment, same depth. Banks stiffened. "That's impossible." Elias leaned forward. "I saw the truck, Sheriff. It followed me. It spoke to me through my radio." Banks straightened abruptly, his voice sharpening. "Ward, you're tired. Your mind's playing tricks. No truck can. Then explain this." He pulled a body cam snapshot from his pocket. The windshield, the handprint, the eerie number 317 written beneath it. Banks stared longer than he should have. His tongue pressed against the inside of his cheek. Finally, quietly, "You need to see something." Banks led him into the records room, a dusty space beneath the station, with metal shelves carrying decades of forgotten police history. He unlocked a private drawer marked with a faded sticker, HWY95 priority cases. "Do not rem of inside" was 6 folders. 6. Elias's heartbeat quickened. "These aren't public records," Banks said. "Never were." He placed the first file on the table. 1991, case #54A trucker who vanished north of Long Wells, last known sighting, an old pickup trailing behind him. Next file. 1994, case #103A college student hitchhiking home, witness reported a rusty blue pickup driving slow circles near the rest stop. Next. 1998, case #229A couple returning from Reno. The 911 call captured the woman whispering, "He's following us. He has no headlights." Call cuts at 3:17 a.m. Elias's breath stopped. Every case, the same time. Banks swallowed hard. "I tried to connect the dots years ago, but people stopped talking. The town didn't want rumors killing tourism, land prices, the mine investments. So they buried it." He hesitated. "And there's something else." Banks pulled out an envelope, yellowed and brittle. It was addressed to the sheriff's office. No return address. Postmarked 2003. Inside was a small Polaroid. A blurry nighttime shot of a truck parked on the shoulder of Highway I-95, the same truck Elias saw last night, same color, same missing headlight. But behind the truck, just barely visible in the desert darkness, a tall figure standing next to the open driver's door. The face was too shadowed to see, but the silhouette was unmistakable, tall. Broad-shouldered, unnaturally still, and on the back of the Polaroid, written in jagged marker, "He never left." Elias's hand shook. "What is this?" he whispered. Banks lowered his voice. "We think the pickup has had the same driver for at least 30 years. Elias turned slowly. "That's not possible." Banks met his eyes. "That's exactly the problem." That night, Elias returned to Highway I-95, but not as bait this time. He came prepared. A drone infrared scopes. Motion detecting cameras. A recording device patched into his radio system. He parked on the shoulder. Engine off. The desert stretched endlessly, a black, silent ocean of sand. Hours past. 1:00 a.m. 2:00 a.m. The wind died. The air turned unnaturally cold. Elias felt a prickling crawl up his spine. Then, a faint rumble. At first, he thought it was distant thunder, but thunder doesn't move rhythmically. Thunder doesn't grow louder. Thunder doesn't pulse like an idling engine on the horizon. He aimed his binoculars. Their a shape, slowly forming out of the darkness like a memory, returning from the dead headlights. Flickering. One bright, 1 week. A rusted, beaten frame carrying decades of sand. The pickup, coming straight toward him. Elias's breath caught. The truck rolled to a stop exactly 50 meters behind his car. It didn't move. Didn't idle. Didn't even make a sound. It simply existed there. As if waiting. Elias reached for his radio. Throat dry, but the radio spoke first. A whisper, calm and chilling, twisted by static. I remember your brother. Elias froze. The voice continued. He tried to run too. And then, you won't. The driver's door of the pickup creaked open, slowly. Deliberately. As if someone very tall was unfolding himself from the seat. Elias raised his weapon, but the figure stepped out. Half shrouded in darkness. A silhouette, human, but wrong, too tall, too thin, too motionless. And then, in the faint moonlight, Elias saw its face. No, not a face. A mask. Old, cracked, made from something that looked disturbingly like dried leather. The figure tilted its head, studying him. And the last thing Elias heard before everything went black was the same whisper. Now right beside him. 3:17. Elias woke to the sound of wind. Dry, scraping, endless wind. He tried to sit up, but pain tore through the back of his head. His vision swam, colors smeared like wet paint. Before shaping back into reality, he was lying on hard concrete, cold, unfamiliar. A dim bulb flickered above him, barely cutting through the shadows. The air smelled of rust, dust, and something else, something metallic and old, like the inside of an abandoned mine. His hands weren't tied, his feet weren't bound, but he wasn't free. The room was wrong, too silent, too still. A black stain stretched across the floor behind him, a dried shadow of something that had once been wet. Footsteps had smeared through it, large, heavy footsteps. His heart hammered. Then he noticed something carved into the far wall, just deep enough to expose fresh concrete. 3:17, exactly like Emma's case, like the call logs, like the handprint on his windshield. His breath grew shallow. Where was he? He pushed himself upright, head throbbing, and staggered toward the only door, a steel slab, dented from the inside as if someone had once tried to break out. Someone strong, someone desperate. He pressed his ear against it. Nothing, only desert wind wailing somewhere far above. He took a shaky breath and tried the handle. It turned. The door groaned open. The hallway outside was narrow, carved from stone, reinforced with wooden beams. A mine shaft. A long abandoned one. Elias's stomach twisted. He knew this place, not personally, but from documents, old maps, news clippings. The Longwell silver mine, shut down in 1987 after a collapse trapped several miners underground. Only 2 bodies were ever recovered. The rest, never found. Legend sprouted quickly. Ghosts, screams at night, people disappearing near the collapsed tunnels. But now Elias understood the truth. This place had never been abandoned. Someone was living here, using it. He moved quietly down the shaft. The deeper he went, the colder the air grew. Stray beams of moonlight cut down through cracks in the ceiling, illuminating scattered objects on the floor, broken flashlights, scraps of cloth, tire irons, an old leather boot. A boot tagged with faded ink, property of Daniel W. Elias stopped breathing. His hand hovered over the boot, trembling. His brother had been here. He had stood right here before he could process it. A sudden metallic clang echoed from deeper inside the mine, not random, not accidental. Footsteps, slow, measured, moving toward him. Elias backed into the shadows, quieting his breath, gripping a broken plank from the ground as a weapon. The footsteps grew, louder, closer. Then a figure emerged into the pale moonlight. Shaft, tall. Broad-shouldered, moving with unnatural calm. the same silhouette he'd seen. Outside the pickup, the mask, that dry, crack hide, reflected faint light. But there was something behind it now, movement, breathing. Elias tightened his grip. The figure stopped just a few feet away, head slightly tilted, studying him through the empty black holes of its mask. "Who are you?" Elias whispered, the mask lifted, just a fraction, revealing not a face, but a second mask beneath it, metal, rusted, bolted over flesh. Yes, if someone had been forced to wear it for decades. The figure spoke, the voice impossibly calm, echoing like it had been practiced for years. "You shouldn't have looked for him." Elias's pulse spiked. "Where is my brother?" he demanded. The figure didn't move. Instead, it raised an arm and pointed deeper into the darkness of the mine. Elias followed the gesture with his eyes, but saw only blackness. Then the figure said, "Follow the tunnels. He left something for you." And before Elias could respond, the figure turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows without a sound. Like it had become part of the mine itself. Elias's breath faltered. His mind screamed to run, to escape, to call for backup, but his heart pulled him forward, toward the tunnels, toward whatever message his brother had left behind, toward the truth buried under 30 years of sand. He stepped into the darkness. The desert wind howled outside and far above. Somewhere on Highway I-95, an old pickup truck's engine growled to life. Detective Hale didn't sleep that night. He lay awake in the dark hotel room, staring at the ceiling fans slicing the air with slow, exhausted rotations. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the same thing: the driver, the empty skin on his face, the impossibly calm eyes in the rearview mirror, and the words, "He gets closer." At 5:14 a.m., Hale gave up on sleep, threw on his jacket, and drove straight to the edge of Ridgeway County, the place locals called Dead Mile. Fog clung to the ground like it had weight. Light didn't fall here. It sank. The road was quiet. Too quiet, but something had changed. Something he couldn't name. As he walked along the gravel shoulder, he noticed faint scorch marks on the asphalt, thin curved lines, almost like tire marks, except they didn't follow any recognizable pattern. They twisted unnaturally, carved into the pavement like someone had heated the road to melting point. He crouched, touched the mark, still warm. His breath froze in his throat. He wasn't alone out here. A sudden gust of wind pushed through the fog, carrying with it a sound, subtle, distant, but unmistakable. A truck engine only. It wasn't idling. It wasn't accelerating. It was breathing, long, slow, mechanical exhales. In, out, in, out, like the motor had lungs. Hale's pulse spiked. He stood, scanning the fog that drowned the horizon. The sound grew louder, then the fog shifted. No, recoiled, like something massive was moving inside it, and through that milky white curtain, Hale saw something impossible. 2 headlights, not yellow, not white, but a deep, corpse blue glow, and they weren't approaching. They were watching. The engine exhaled again. Long and slow. Hale stepped back instinctively. Then, flash. Something surged past him. Wind. Grit. A pressure wave that slapped his body sideways. Hale staggered, dropping to one knee. When he looked back at the road, the blue headlights were gone, but the fog moved differently now. Like something large had just slipped through it. He heard gravel shifting behind him. Hale spun around. Someone was standing at the tree line. A man, barefoot, shaking, clothes torn like he'd crawled through brambles for miles, and his voice was shredded when he spoke. I tried to warn you. Detective. You shouldn't be here. He knows your name now." Hale swallowed. Who? Who knows my name? The man didn't answer. He just pointed at the road behind Hale. His hand trembled violently. Hale turned slowly and saw fresh skid marks, jagged, sharp, cutting across the pavement like claws, but within the marks were footprints, human footprints, running parallel with the trucks. Path.as if whoever, or whatever, drove. It didn't stay inside the vehicle. Hale felt ice crawl down his spine. He looked back at the man, but he was gone. Only the fog remained, and in that fog, far away yet impossibly close, Hale heard it again, that breathing engine. In, out, following him, and getting closer. Every instinct screamed at him to sprint back to his car, lock the doors, and never look at this cursed road again. But years of training pinned his feet to the ground. Fear could wait. Answers couldn't. He slowly approached the new skid marks carved into the pavement. Up close, they looked even stranger, deep gouges, as if the tires had been spinning while something dragged the truck sideways. But the footprints between them, that was what froze. Hale's breath in his chest. They were barefoot, wide, heavy, and spaced like someone was running. Unnaturally fast, Hale crouched down. He touched one of the prints. It was warm, not recently warm. Body warm. His heart slammed once. Hard. This thing, whatever it was, wasn't a ghost, wasn't a legend. It had heat. It had weight. It had lungs. He had heard it breathe, and then the thought hit him like a hammer. If it had lungs, it could smell him. A low vibration rolled under the soles of his boots. Hale stood up sharply. The ground trembled, faint but rhythmic, like the heartbeat of a machine buried under the surface. Thump. 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 He backed away slowly. Fog shivered across the road, drawn toward a single point about 50 feet away, gathering, swirling, tightening into a column like a tornado made of smoke. Hale's throat dried out instantly. From inside that column came a voice, not human, not mechanical, something in between. You left the road. Detective. Hale's entire body went rigid. No. He whispered. No, that's impossible. The fog thickened, pulsing with cold light, the same corpse blue glow from the headlights. It bent, shaped itself, stretched, until Hale saw something forming inside it, a silhouette, tall, broad, not entirely solid, not entirely human. It tilted its head. You followed me. Hale stepped back. His foot hit gravel. He almost slipped. The silhouette stepped forward. The fog peeled off its form like wet cloth, and Hale saw the outline of a driver's coat. A hat, shoulders too wide to be natural, arms too long, legs shaped like a man's, but bending wrong. Joints reversed. It took another step. The engine's breathing grew. Louder, closer, synchronizing with the things. Movements. In out. Hale drew his gun. It felt useless. Childish, but he held it anyway. The creature stopped 10 feet from him, still half fog, half flesh. Then it raised one finger and pointed directly at him, and its voice, the voice of metal grinding inside a throat, said, Someone left the truck, now someone must take the wheel. The world went silent. No wind, no birds, no engine breath, nothing. Hale's pulse thudded in his ears. What does that mean? He forced out. What are you? The creature's head twitched and then it smiled. The smile didn't belong on a human face. Look behind you. Hale's stomach collapsed. He hadn't heard anything. He hadn't felt anything, but he knew, in his bones, something was there. Slowly, painfully slowly, he turned his head, and the fog behind him began to split. Blue headlights flickered. Awake. Not far. 10 feet, maybe. Less. The truck was right behind him. Silently, completely, still, waiting, and in the driver's seat. Something was sitting upright, watching him. Detective Hale froze. The truck's blue headlights burned through the fog, carving 2 perfect circles of deathly pale light across the asphalt. The engine wasn't running. No rumble, no vibration, but he still heard that breathing. In out. Only this time. It matched his heartbeat. Hale lifted his gun toward the cab. Stay back, he warned, voice cracking. The creature behind him didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink. It only watched, as if Hale's fear was the real show. The fog rolled away from the truck's windshield like someone wiping condensation from glass. That's when Hale saw the driver. A figure sat perfectly still behind the wheel, face forward, hands at 10 and 2, except its hands weren't holding the wheel, they were gripping it. Deeply fused into it, skin melted into rubber. The driver's face was a patchwork of human features, reshaped by heat, eyes sunken like burned bone, mouth stretched too wide, like it had been screaming for miles. Hale whispered, What happened to you? The figure's head snapped toward him instantly. Too fast, too sharp, like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. Its jaw unhinged with a wet metallic crack, and Hale realized it wasn't a driver. It was a warning behind him. The creature spoke softly. He didn't listen. Hale spun around, gun raised, but the creature was right in front of him now. Its face hovered inches from his own. Fog curling around its jaw like smoke from an engine fire. You followed the road. You heard the breath. You stepped into the silence. A long, spindly hand lifted, touching Hale's shoulder with a pressure that felt like burning metal beneath cloth, and now, it whispered, you carry the scent. The truck's engine ignited with a deafening blast, blue light shot across the road. The driver's body convulsed. Jerking violently as if something inside him woke up, Hale fired. One shot. Then another, bullets passing through the fog creature with no effect. The truck roared forward, straight at him. Hale dove sideways. The force of the air ripping his jacket as the truck screamed past, skidding sideways in a full arc. Tires gouging the road with molten black streaks, the truck drove itself. The driver's lifeless body was just along for the ride. Hale scrambled to his feet, sprinting toward the tree line, anywhere but the road. The creature spoke behind him, voice echoing in every direction, don't run, he will drive faster. Hale pushed through the branches, lungs burning, but the blue headlights cut through the forest like unreal daylight, weaving between trees with impossible precision. The truck wasn't following the road anymore, it was following him. The breathing engine grew louder, choking, gasping, inhaling the forest. The creature's voice rolled like thunder, he needs a driver. Hale stumbled into a clearing. Nowhere left to run, he turned, raising his gun at the truck. Even though he knew it wouldn't help, the truck burst into the clearing, dirt exploding beneath its tires, skidding to a stop inches from Hale. The hot breath of the engine washing over him. The door creaked open, slowly, invitingly. The creature materialized beside Hale. Its fog arms curling around him like cold chains. Every road demands a soul, it said. Tonight, it chooses yours. Hale screamed and fired desperately, but the fog surged over him, pushing him toward the open door, toward the seat, toward the wheel. He grabbed the frame, fighting, nails clawing at metal, but something inside the cab pulled him in. A force like suction, like gravity, like destiny. The creature whispered its final sentence directly into his ear. Drive. The door slammed shut. The truck's engine roared to life, louder than thunder, and the blue headlights vanished into the forest, carving a path no human road had ever seen, until the sound faded, swallowed by the silent, endless night. The fog slowly drifted back over the clearing. Empty, quiet, still. On the road behind, new marks appeared in the asphalt, fresh tire tracks, and beside them, footprints, running, human, and they were Hale's. No one ever saw. Detective Hale again, but truck drivers on Ridgway County's Dead Mile say that sometimes, in the far distance, through the fog, they see two ghostly blue headlights trailing behind them, getting closer, and they swear they hear a man's voice inside the engine, screaming.